questions, and we have a lot of insights to learn from. I'm sure this meeting will be a very good one and provide a lot of insights for you also. The thing I like about meetings like this is that it doesn't matter what stage you are in, you can still benefit because you can learn one thing or the other from what has gone on with someone's journey. And I think learning from other people's journey will not keep just reinventing the circle. Just need to look at what works and how you can also help yourself to get ahead in your career. Because the end goal of everything is everybody wants to get into a good residency program and a good program that supports you. So I welcome you all again to Beezers. This is a mentor session with Dr. Ogunsola, and he has graciously agreed to allow us to hear his story and to hear feedback from him. People have sent him plenty of questions. So we won't start the questions. I'll let him talk and then we'll go from there. So I will record this so that we can all also have yes, this has been recorded already, so that's perfect. Awesome. So no need to do anything else. Awesome. So you can always refer back to it when at least learn one thing or the other. So he's had a very interesting journey. I'm sure he will tell you all that about himself. But what I like about him is his persistence, his tenacity, pursuit of purpose. The first time I met him in UI and also on the US residency platform, he's always been passionate about doing this, and it's been very, very forward-thinking. It's not been easy for him, I know that, but he has gotten where he is, not by giving up, but by going at it again. So I really appreciate Dr. Ogunsola, and I salute him. It's a graduate of the prestigious, the first and the best University of Ibadan. Sorry for those from Union Lag and OAU. Just checking. But really, coming from University of Ibadan, from any university in Nigeria, any university in the world, it's a lot of feats. To be an IMG, it's a lot of work already. And so that's why I tell people, I say, don't feel you're not qualified. Like where you are currently, what you have been through is enough reason for you to be where you want to be, because you've been through a lot already. You've passed through. You're probably one of the best in your primary school and high school and all that. So you're worth it. You don't have any imposter syndrome. You know what I mean? You're meant to be there. Yes, you're married to where you're going to. So don't count yourself and say no. It's not. As they say in Yoruba, they say it won't be color one band. No, it's rare. It's not the kind of person of me that they're looking for. It's you that we're looking for in those pathways. So I'm delighted to welcome you to this platform. He got into a PhD and Orthopedics Residency. I don't know how that works. He will explain that to you in earnest, but that's exciting because I know he's always been interested in orthopedics. I know some people are also interested in orthopedics. Some people are interested in internal medicine, neurosurgery, neurology, pathology. So, but I know you can all gain one thing or the other from his journey, and all. I'll allow him to start. So, you're welcome, Dr. Ogunsola. Please, you have the floor. You can unmute yourself and then begin. Thank you so much for coming.
Hello, Ifedayo. I hope you are good. I hope everyone is good. Good to meet you again. Can you hear me?
Perfectly.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So it's a cold morning here in Iowa, so just making sure that everything is good from my hand here.
As long as you have a hot cup of tea or coffee beside you.
Yeah, exactly. So, like I said, we left the University of Ibadan. It was my senior in medical school, and when he created this platform, I joined, and I've been on the platform. Even though sometimes I'm not very active. Sometimes I'm active, but I've been following closely. So my journey, I graduated from University of Ibadan 2015, did my house job at UCH 2015/16, then NYSC came, and GRE. Within that time, many things have happened. Initially, I wanted to write step 1 in Ghana, but family events happened. I couldn't. So I had to defer my exams, and thankfully I deferred, because looking back, I felt that was the right decision for me at that time. So in 2019, I gained admission to study epidemiology at Texas A&M University in College Station. While I was there, I knew I was going to, do residency. I knew I wanted orthopedic surgery, and yeah, I was a little bit naive, and thankfully I met other people in the process. Also people who had written the exams. In fact, two of my roommates matched, into residency just about a year after I came in. So I got, a lot of input from them, a lot of advice. But the difference was that a lot of them matched into internal medicine program. So at some point in the journey, I was a little bit lonely in the journey because I wanted orthopedic surgery, and then there's nobody, to really give me specifics, things that I need, But um, I started networking. As at 2021, I go on LinkedIn, look for orthopedic residents, talk to them, chat to them, and in that journey, many will not reply you. Maybe few people will respond, and it's it can be frustrating at times. So I eventually did step one. After my step one, things were going well. I started, working on research because I knew I needed the numbers. I started publishing papers with some PhD graduates in school, epidemiology papers and stuff like that. And I wrote step two. So when I finished my master's, I had to move on with life too. I got married here, met my wife here, got married, still doing, what I need to do. And I was lucky. I met a resident who was interested in me. The resident at Taylor, Houston, and he shared his CV, his personal statement, just for me to go to see what his profile looks like. And immediately I saw his profile and everything. I told myself I wasn't going to apply that year. That was I'm talking about last year. I said I wasn't going to apply just because I felt like I've not, met some requirements that is needed. So I started after masters, instead of looking for regular jobs, like because I graduated from school. I could take job at public health institutions. Even if I wanted to do a PhD, that route is opened and stuff like that. And instead of working in public health, I said, well, the best thing for me would be to find myself doing research with orthopedic surgeons. And I started looking for, research assistant stroke research associate positions in teaching hospitals. So I applied widely, but luckily I got into Iowa. I interviewed with them. They liked me, and I resumed in Iowa last year, January, working closely with an orthopedic surgeon. My boss name is Jacob Elkins. He's an arthroplasty surgeon. He's also an MD PhD, so he does a lot of research. And within that period that I've been working with him, I've been able to, experience clinical research in the best form. We do apply for application for funding. I do his statistical analysis, and I enjoyed it. Basic science research everywhere, experiencing this research, and at the same time, I got to network in the program. I met another fantastic, surgeon. His name is Caesar, who is a foot and ankle surgeon. He's from Brazil. He was also an IMG, but his own pathway was different. He was already a surgeon in Brazil before he came to America. He had to do 3 fellowships before he can start working, and this guy is phenomenal. Phenomenal in terms of research, and this I got close with him, shadowed him at clinic, shadowing my boss in the OR. I had this opportunity to just, get to know and work with these 2 surgeons. And at the end of the day, I got 2 fantastic letters from them. And yeah, that was my experience. Along the way, I've had the opportunity to publish papers. Some of them are still ongoing. Some of them are in the pipeline. Next month, we'll be going for a conference. That's the Orthopedic Research Society conference. I have a podium presentation and a poster presentation there. The summary of all these things is that, 1, I knew what I wanted. 2, I persevered, and at the time I needed to wait, I waited. Number 3 is I got myself into the system, and that's how I did. And during the application season, it wasn't straightforward. It's very difficult. A lot of anxiety. I know some people, maybe they're in the process, still having this anxiety. You've interviewed, you don't know where you will match. For me, I applied to about 197 program. It wasn't straightforward. I did about 115 ortho programs, and the rest was general surgery, preliminary. Usually, if you're going into that kind of tough specialty, I wanted the backup, because I asked myself, what else would you want to do if you didn't get into ortho? So general surgery was my backup option. And at some point, I didn't get any interview for general surgery. I got 3 ortho interviews. That's 1 at Wake Forest, and 1 at UPenn, and 1 at Buffalo. And when I accepted the Wake Forest offer, I withdrew from those 2 interviews. And on the day of the offer, I now got 2 general surgery interviews from Emory and UT San Antonio. So it wasn't a straightforward process, but I would say that, I was privileged. And this is a summary of the story. But if you would have any questions, I believe I'll be able to talk more from the questions. Thank you.
Awesome. There are plenty of questions, don't worry. So this is an incredible story, and I love the fact that you evaluated what you needed and you went for it. That's a very, very clear and focused pathway. I think sometimes a lot of us IMGs, we tend to give up. Sometimes when they say some specialties are not for IMGs, everything is fair game. You can get into any specialty. You just need to know how you need to get there. And I think one of the lessons I'm picking from this is looking at the profile of someone that's got into that same thing you're interested in, and partnering your profile towards that. I think that's very instructive. If you really want to go for this program, look at what the residents there, what have they gone through. Don't say, I've been an MO in Nigeria. They'll say, so what have you done? What do you have to show for it? And I said that we have stuff. We just need opportunity to show it forth. And I'm happy that Dr. Ogunsola, you've taken the bull by the horns, and you've also set a very brilliant pathway for others to follow after you. Because I'm sure any other person that's coming from Nigeria or any other country and say, I went to Dr. Ogunsola's school. I know there's one Dr. Ogunsola, is very excellent doctor, so that means you to be good. So thank you for doing that. Thank you for blazing the trail, and thank you for making it easy for those coming after you. And so I would arrange the questions. I know you have some questions already. You could send your question on the chat. I have some questions that have been sent ahead already. I will take them one after the other. Some questions you've already answered it from what you said right now. And somebody says that, what do you consider as an important criteria in terms of your application profile itself? What do you think is important in impressing the interviewers during interviews? What do you think stood out during the interviews?
All right. So, I think there are a lot of things that you will consider. I think this question was asked by the program director, who asked me like, what is it about your profile? Yeah, looking at all this research, all this stuff. When you were putting your application together, what was the most important thing? And you know what? My answer was that I had the opportunity to work in Iowa. So for people who don't know Iowa is one of the oldest traditional orthopedic surgery departments in the United States. And that is where this guy came from, Ponseti. You remember the famous Ponseti technique for treating clubfoot in children. So that's where it came from. It has a lot of history. And then I found myself working with accomplished, surgeons in Iowa, getting, everything, getting trained by, the best in terms of research. I think that was, for me, that was the most beautiful experience that, I've had in this journey. And for me, that was the most important thing. I told him, like, this is the most important thing. I get to work with these people. I saw their lifestyle. I saw how they treated patients. I, had relationships with residents there, learned from their medical students, everybody along the way. So me, the most important thing was that I got into that system.
Exactly.
And experienced everything firsthand. So that's the most important thing in this journey. So like if you are thinking of doing urology, or you are thinking of doing OBGYN, neurology, or any of those specialties, even dermatology, your most powerful weapon will be smuggling yourself into that system.
Yeah.
And getting close to those people, work with them, because by the time, and that's why the letters of recommendation, it weighs more, especially when it's coming from somebody in the United States that they know that is working in the field. Yeah. So I think that's the most important attribute that made my application more complete in this season. Yeah.
So, and this is also, just to also process your point, this is also to remember that you're even about more than 6 years post-graduation, right?
Yeah, I mean, this will be my 7th year. I'm 7 now. Yeah, because 2015.
Like, you didn't have like 300 in your step 1, 300 in your step 2 CK.
No. I mean, I was just a normal human being. I'm not an abnormal human being. But I mean, I have competitive scores. I mean, many at times it's not the very, very high scores, but it's something that makes you look good for step 1 and step 2, not the high-end scores. So it shows you that sometimes it's not about the scores. It's good to do well. I mean, at least make sure you meet the minimum requirements. For instance, in Iowa, in their residency interview and picking process of selecting candidates, their cutoffs was 240, 240, step 1, step 2. Then other factors will come in. So if you look at a lot of programs, like you see some of them will say 235, 240, 235, 240. So it means that if you scored that 240 and there's another candidate that scored 260, you are not going to be looked differently because you've met their minimum requirements. Then other stuff will now start counting. What experience, what is your personality, are you fit for that program, and all those other things. So that's
So the other question that somebody asked now is that, is this your program a unique program in terms of being PhD and residency, or are there other programs like this, like maybe for neurosurgery or for other departments that are PhD linked with residency, or is it just like a unique, just particular to you?
This is unique. And the funny thing is that I didn't know about this until I reached out to a Nigerian resident, actually a Nigerian American in that program. I was applying to their, just their residency. And he said, look, I graduated, from Howard. It's trained in Howard, it's medical school and everything. And I had to pass through these other routes because auto is not easy. So, and he encouraged me to put in the application for that other route, which is unique to that program, right? And here I am, So I went through that other route. I did 2 interviews with them, one for this particular program and one for their residency program, because the 2, the PhD auto residency and their main auto residency program, they are synergistic. So they have, imagine they'll have 5 positions every year. One will go to the physician scientist, and the 4 other positions are for traditional candidates. So that's how it's been for over the years. And I, looking at the profile of people that have passed through, I've seen people from Venezuela, people from Brazil get into that program through that route. There are a lot of people like that, they've gotten into that route through that, to their residency through that program. So it's unique. So for the person that asked this question, your own work will now be to start looking, start networking. There are opportunities that you may never know, and there are sometimes some programs we have an unwritten rule, like, do 1 year of research with us, do 2 years of research in our department, and we get you in. For IMG, that you are, for some people like me, it's either surgery or bust. If you are like that, it's ortho or nothing, it's urology or nothing. So you need to then look for all those specific programs that have something like that, like, work with me for 2 years and I get you in, or work with me for 1 year and we'll support you. That is where you want to be. Because naturally, because you did not school here, you have, they will look at you differently. So you need to have worked with them for some time for them to say, this guy is solid. It's solid. Like my boss, he has never worked with any Nigerian before, so I'll be the first Nigerian he's working with. And he always tell people, he will say, if it's about statistics, he knows his stuff. So there has to be something you are bringing to the table too. Nobody will just, give you position, this thing. So you put your best foot forward. This is what I can offer you. And they like it, they take you in. You work with them, and at some point they say, okay, we will support your application. And that's all you need, support from them. Yeah.
So thank you for bringing up that issue of statistics. And I know it's not as if you're a statistics guru when you're in medical school.
Nah.
You went through the master's program.
yes, it was the master's.
So I get a lot of people asking me questions and saying, I'm interested in general surgery, I'm interested in this. What master's program should I go for in the US? So because a lot of people are thinking, should I go for master's in public health? Would that affect my application? So what do you think? You've experienced going through a master's program. What would you advise if somebody wants to do a master's program? Because if you are going for a competitive specialty, I think a master's program gives you an opportunity to get into the US and start networking. Yeah, I think that gives you the. So what would you recommend for those that are interested in this? What kind of master's program did you look out for?
Okay, so what are the advantages of the masters? Just as you have said. Number one, if you are coming to the US and you don't have too many resources like me. I was the first doctor in my family. I was still taking care of people. At some point in between, I lost my mom. I had to take care of my sister, and that was why I didn't write my exams in Ghana at that point, because I saved top money to go to Ghana. So the remaining stuff for me was to just get into the US, work within the US, earn in dollars, and I can afford resources if I'm working, and I could focus on my exams, which was a very smart move for me. If you're not like me and you have all these resources, then you can try to write it in Nigeria. But one of the advantages of a master's degree program is that it gets you in here and you can, start networking. and you can even, be able to afford more resources to use for your exams. So what master should you go to? I can't actually answer that question because you know what you want. You have to think about the advantages or the what do you want to gain from the masters. Now, for some people, if you are going into maybe internal medicine and something, you could do something like maybe a global health program or stuff like that. Now, is ortho related to epidemiology? No. But I knew that if I did epidemiology or biostatistics, I would have a skill, which is statistical analysis. A lot of physicians in the system, they don't like it. They don't like statistics, and they want to do research. So it creates an opening for me, to be able to bring in that skill into their, their place of work, and they can say, okay, this guy has something to offer. So this was my reason for doing epidemiology, and during the master's program, I had colleagues, a lot of the Nigerian colleagues that we had, they did very well, fantastically. Some of them have marked, and they were able to ramp up papers just because of knowing how to do statistical analysis, write papers and stuff like that. They publish papers, and then some pass through the same program without one single paper. So it also talks about, this is also showing, telling us that you can be in a good program, and if you don't apply yourself, you just pass through the program, and you have nothing to show for it. So there are good courses, epidemiology, which a lot of people tend to come into, is good, especially if you just want to have that data analytic skills, epidemiological skills, to be able to approach problem from a research point of view. There's a new, not relatively new, I think occupational health and something is another good course of study for masters. One thing I would say is that if you are an IMG and you don't have visa and you are trying to come into here, make sure that whatever program you are applying to is a STEM program. STEM, because it's going to be like 2 years, and then you have all this opportunity of doing OPT after. If you apply to a non-STEM program, it is immediately you finish. It's either you quickly gain admission into a PhD program, or you go back home, or you get a job that is willing to sponsor visa for you, and that is very, very rare. So when you are choosing a master's program, you have to define your goal. What do you want from that master's? For some people, they've written step 1, they just want to write step 2, and they just want a master's to be able to stay in the year, and maybe 1 year will be enough for you to do whatever you want to do before you match. Then maybe a 1-year master's will be good for you, and most of those masters, they may not be STEM masters. Then you know that you have to rush whatever you want to do or what you have to do before moving into residency. So you need to really kind of sit down, think about what do you want from that master's program. What do you want from it? Is it just to be in the year, or you want to learn a valuable skill that may be useful, or something that may get you closer into the system? So I think that's the way I look at it. So I would say epi biostat is good for the people that like numbers. Then occupational health, environmental health is another big master's program because they have a lot of funding. So in environmental health, even if you don't want to do that, say you don't want to do residency again, it's a good field to be in because there are job opportunities with companies and stuff. I just had a junior colleague, got an internship with Tesla and stuff like that. So but it depends on what you want,
Oh, that's very, very enlightening. That's a very good. I think I'm sure a lot of insight from this now for those that are interested in going for a master's program and those who want to boost up their profile. what I've always said is that you have a lot of resources to just boost up your profile. The
Yeah.
other thing I want to ask you about is funding. Now, for we earning in local currencies, how are you able to do funding? Is it scholarship for the masters and also for the US MLE pathway? How did you go about funding? And what do you advise now that you have gotten to the end of the journey? What do you advise as regards funding?
Yeah. So for me it was rough. So when I left Nigeria, I didn't have any funding. I got a loan for masters. I researched. I was looking for schools. Looking at schools who are under the Empower Loan Program, and Texas A&M was, under that thing. So I secured a loan. I was able to secure a loan before I left Nigeria. Even people I met in the school were surprised. How did you do it? Because I was a doctor, I was able to provide them with my pay slip, everything that I have. Now, so that was how I got in. And some other people some of my colleagues secured, they were able to get some form of scholarship that the school provided before coming. So, and some other people, their parents sponsored them. So it depends. There are loans available if you don't get a scholarship or something. But one of the things I did is that I didn't go for those schools that their tuition is 80,000. I didn't go for schools like Harvard, even though I know Harvard they have a loan system that they can borrow you stuff. I didn't go for. So once your tuition is going past 18K, I wouldn't apply to those schools because I just wanted something of some sort of safety net. Empower can only give, I think they can give only 50,000 for 1 year, and you can ask for more. But I didn't want to get that. That's so much money. So I just wanted something that I can, manage with. And so I got that loan. I started, perfected the loan. They paid for my tuition for the first and the second semester, because at second semester there was no funding. Now there's a thing in A&M. It's called this biology graduate teaching assistant program that they can offer to people like us coming who have background in science, and we can teach their students. So I was not lucky because by the time I got to school, there are a lot of seniors that are queuing for that job, so I couldn't get the opportunity to work with them. Because if you work with them as a graduate teaching assistant, they probably pay 50% of your tuition, and you get in-state, and they still pay you salary. So for the first two semester, for the first academic semester, I was on loan. Then for the third semester, I got that graduate teaching assistant job. So automatically, I converted myself into an in-state student, getting paid. And so when they pay half of my tuition, from what I earn, I could afford to pay for the remaining, in instrumental payments. And I still got some scholarship. I think I got Pilot International scholarship. They paid me. They gave me about 5K. I got the school scholarship too. They gave me about 1,500. So I got those monies, and I was able to survive till the end of school, and I was able to afford resources, and so that was how I survived during the master's program. So I see a lot of people, they say, oh, I can't come to the US because I can't afford the master's and stuff. There are opportunities. You can either apply for scholarship. If you don't get that and you are still determined to come, then you can get loans. You just need to know how to look for them. And of course, a lot of people from Nigeria too, they don't want loans. We have that mindset that, I don't want to borrow money. So, if you borrow money for education, that is not a bad loan. So a lot of people say, I don't want to borrow. I don't want to do. Of course, if you don't have an option like me, then you have to. So that was what I did, and that was how I was able to afford the master's program. So there will be funding opportunity, and especially if you are a woman, there are a lot of women-based scholarship. You just need to look for them. Yeah.
Hey, that's awesome. And thank you for mentioning Empower. I've heard of Empower. I think they are good because they help IMGs to get loans without having to get a co-signer, which I think is good.
Yeah.
So I think you can also. I think they also give you like a 6 months after graduation before they start collecting the money back. I think.
Yes.
Right. Yes. Okay. So that's something that we can also think about for those that are on this platform. You can think of Empower for your applications and all that. So I think I've taken almost all the questions. The other last question that I received before the meeting is about how did you cope with racism and culture shock in your stay in the US so far?
So there's culture shock. There's racism, but they are usually not open racism. They are usually just covert racism and stuff. But the beauty of it is you are coming from Nigeria, so we don't know anything about racism. Even if they do it to your face, you don't know. So that you have that immunity. You don't. There are things they will tell you that that maybe a normal Black American that was born here will flare up, but you just take it like, okay, you are not. At least maybe let me speak for me. I mean, I'm not. I don't get worked up because of those things, because I know I'm coming from a place. You have a home in Africa, right? You have your family, so you are very immune to those things. And the secret is this: they even love to work with you because there are some jokes that you would take that maybe a Black American, not necessarily a racist joke, but you just take it like, okay, they are just joking, and it's easy to work with you, maybe more than a Black American. So you will see racism, but it's systemic, it's systematic, it's covert, it's not open. So I'm sure you will cope. One of the things that they will be asking, so you can speak English very well. How did you learn English? Stuff like that. So those are some stupid questions that they shouldn't ask you. But I just joke about, we were taught in English, and that hence it. So I don't really react to it. Now, imagine that I'm in Iowa. In Texas A&M, the university system they have immune you to racism. They put a lot of checks and balances in place that even if there is racism, you may not notice it. So in my place of work, the first time I resumed in my research department, as a white woman, she was just looking at. She was walking. I was walking towards her. She was walking away, and she was just looking at me. She almost fell off, and I just laughed. So because are you telling me you've not seen a Black person before? Or of course I'm the only Black person. It is what it is. It is, and for some people, it's also culture shock. They've not worked with a Black person before. So now seeing you, sometimes they've had stories from home and stuff like that. But seeing you, they are like, okay, who is this person? You also are looking at them like, okay, who is this person? But later you just discover that people will just be people. Yeah, it's racism, of course, but people are just people. And even in my master's program, apart from my Nigerian colleague, my best friend was a white guy. He's a white guy rather, and we vibed a lot. The only thing that will be a culture shock to you is the people that we don't really get along with are our fellow Black Americans. I don't know why, but we never got along with each other. So
exactly, that's the part I find very, very surprising.
We never got along. But sometimes I've been in forums where they think, we are coming to take over their resources or whatever. I don't know, but it's just one of the things that happened. So we never got along. We instead would be friends with the whites, with the Hispanic people in the class and stuff like that. But it is what it is, yeah. So
yeah. So we have some questions on the chat already. So let me just pick them up. Someone says that, did you having a job or marriage give you an immigration status advantage? Did you like fast track your immigration status?
I mean, sure. You can look at it that some people call it the step 5. I mean, I was lucky. My wife was born here, so when I met her, things worked out. We got married, and we were just a year. I mean, post married now, and yeah. So she was a citizen. I didn't have to think about visa and stuff like that. So it made it easy. It made it very easy because I don't need visa. So those are well, I would tell you the truth, that made my journey very easy.
I think you've also done main work by doing the networking of how to be professors and all that. I think that's also a very important one.
Yeah.
So
another
thing I wanted. Yes, please go ahead.
So there's a new visa category now that a lot of my colleagues have applied to. It's called the NIW route. So NIW is just like a visa for people who have demonstrated themselves to be very exceptional. And if you have a master's, if you are in a master's program, there's nothing that says you cannot work towards getting that visa, because all you need to do is to publish, and then you can apply for that. A lot of people are applying for that now. Exceptionally, you need to a green card for you, and this thing, and they've been doing well by Nigerians. I've had a couple of people that were given that that NIW, and so they have their green card. So yeah, that's always a way.
So that's just like you have to just keep publishing in high impact journals.
Publish. I mean, in fact, people who didn't have anything even applied, who have not published. So I mean, but if you have 1 or 2 papers or 3 papers that have been cited or something, even if not cited, those are the things you can put into your application. And it's been working out for people. Yeah.
Somebody asked that if I start a master's program in the USA this year and I join the residency pathway for 2024, will I be told to start the master's program? I think this is assuming that you get master's.
So I couldn't hear you very well. I don't know. Your voice is sounding.
Is it better now?
No.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, better. Let's see.
Hello, can you hear me now?
It still sounds mechanical. It sounds robotic somehow.
Yeah. Hopefully nobody has hijacked me yet. Is it better?
Yeah. I can hear you better now. Okay.
Okay, that's good. So the person is asking that if he gets into a master's program and he's also interested in going for a residency program next year, will he have to opt out of the master's program? I think that's assuming that he gets matched into residency.
Yes, you have to leave. And usually, the thing for me is this: what are you looking for? I wanted that master because I felt like we didn't really get business. So I wanted to have that research experience, right? So I wouldn't even opt out of that program. I wasn't even thinking about it. My thinking is I'm going to finish that program. So and the thing is also that some of the master programs, a lot of people are coming in and opting out. So if you suggest that, the admission.
That's true. They might not give you the admission. That's true.
So because you are just going to block another person.
And person's pathway.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's clear. So how easy it is for an IMG to get a clinical research job, like clinical research associate or clinical research coordinator job in the US? Is it easy for an IMG to get that kind of job, or you need to have a?
So it's all about what are you bringing to the table. So they post the jobs and they say, you must be able to use SAS or Stata. You must be able to do this. You must be able to do that. So you now need to look at yourself and say, do I have that level of expertise? Because there's no research assistant or assistant to demand something from you. It's about what are you bringing to the table, and that is where the masters made the difference.
Okay.
Don't quote me wrong. There are a lot of their own children that are getting those positions with just BS. But remember, they have visa. They are.
Yeah, well, you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, somebody's asking that must I have a master's before I can have a competitive residency application? I think we've answered that already. It does depend on what you want to shed more light on that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a must. It's not a written rule that you have to have a master's or even do a PhD to get into a competitive position. But the question is, how do you want to get yourself in their system? Believe me, if you are going to match into dermatology, anesthesia, how do you get into the system? That's what I would be. Master, you know, and getting into the system may mean different. Maybe you do Kaplan, maybe you have somebody think you. Just make sure you get.
Okay. I think that's all the questions I've received so far. Thank you so much, Dr. Ogunsola. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
It has been very inspiring and also helping us. And yeah. I'm sure a lot of people are also energized to know that it's possible. And if you are also expecting something this year, if you're in the March currently, we pray that you have a very good outcome, and we'll look forward to celebrating you soon. And does anybody have any other question before we end the meeting today? Anybody else? Okay, awesome. So that means everybody understands everything. That's perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everybody. Do have a lovely evening, and we look forward to hearing exploits of you, so we can also farm and say we know one consultant orthopedic surgeon in the US. Yeah, then you can give us your house address so we can come and eat jollof rice or pandayam, whatever.
Yes, okay, I'll be moving to North Carolina in June, so we'll be there for 7 years. So yeah,
so welcome. that shouldn't be as cold as Iowa.
No, I mean it's just like maybe like similar to Florida kind of.
Perfect. So expect us.
No problem. All right.
Okay. Thank you, everybody, for joining the meeting, and do have a lovely evening. This will be the end of the meeting for today. Yeah. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Dr. Ogunsola. Yeah.
Thank you too. Bye.
Thank you for joining the Beezers meeting today. Today's meeting was very interactive. We learned a lot about how to navigate, even if you're going for a residency program, a competitive program. We learned about how to navigate the process, and I want to encourage you that it's possible for you to get matched into a competitive program. It's possible for you to get matched into any program. You just need to know what you need to get ready, and that's what you could see from Dr. Ogunsola's story. He knew where he needed to get ready to be ready for the exam. In fact, he skipped one of the application season because he felt he wasn't ready enough. So what do you need to take from this? Reassess where you are. What do you need to get to where you're going to? Set your goal and go for it. There's nothing impossible for you. It's not something that's eye-violating. The people that are there don't have, as their parents used to say, don't have to eat. That's not a lighter note. But I'm really serious. And if you need any support, if you need any guidance, any advice, anything that you even need, that's what Beezers is for. I'm ready to support you. You could send me a mail at beezersconsult@gmail.com, and through that we can link up on WhatsApp or on Telegram, depending on what you really want. So we're here to support you. We're here to make you achieve your goals and tell you that your goals are possible. I look forward to hearing from you, and I look forward to you doing very well in your US residency match. Looking forward to awesome stories from everybody. Thank you for joining this meeting and do have a lovely day.